Hello everybody and welcome back to Conor here, and we are here with your preview, your official preview. This is the first time I've done this in a long time, the first time on this channel anyway. I'm just waiting for you guys to come in, just making sure you all get back on form and get into the chat. If you are watching this back, you can skip ahead of this bit. But let's have a look at what you guys are saying. If you guys are about, hello everybody. Hello, Alan Richardson. How you doing, mate? Good stuff. There he is. He's here. I think it's all right. All good, I think, guys. We all have to do this live just to test that everything's going all right. And yes, it is live for everybody who is asking. And we are back with your preview, your Liverpool versus Leeds United preview. The first time in 16 years, the Whites go head-to-head with the Reds of Liverpool. The red side of Merseyside, Leeds United, the Peacocks are heading there on a trip on Saturday, 5:30 kickoff, and I'm absolutely buzzing for it. I'm absolutely buzzing for you guys to join me on this journey. And this is going to be the start of it, the previews, the reviews, which is what you guys knew me for at the start. And obviously your watch-alongs. We've got a massive watch-along coming at the weekend. So I hope you guys are all doing really well. Jack Wood, the big man. Hello, Carl. I hope you're all doing really well. Afternoon, Connor. Great content. Keep it up. There's 113 of you here, so make sure you like the video. As I've said, guys, if you are watching afterwards, go back, watch it, like the video as well. But let's get into it straight away. Now, I did tell you guys that there was going to be a competition, didn't I? I did tell you guys there was 100 quid up for grabs on the Leeds-Liverpool game. Now, my question for you guys, you all know the process. If you don't know the process, go check out the 5 things video that I did on Monday. But the question I'm going to pose to you guys is going to be, who is going to be Leeds United's first substitution? What player is going to be Leeds United's first substitution? Hit it in the comment section below. Screenshot it, okay? You know exactly what to do. Go check out the 5 things video. Screenshot the fact that you subscribed as well. And go onto the sponsors website, shitbikesusa.com, and tell me on the About section what bike is on the About section. All that collated, put it in an email, send it to me, and you will get the chance of winning £100. Just that's it. 3 things, 3 dead simple things. That is that. So I hope you guys get involved with that as well. Send me all your reviews of the game. Send me your match day vlogs, because what I want to do is put together a big video on Monday or Tuesday that is going to be centered around Leeds United fans' experiences at home of the games. That's what I want to get sorted as well. So make sure you enter the competition. Make sure you get your match day vlogs into me, your reviews, everything like that. And I'm going to put it, as I said, a big thing together. And let's get into the video. So let's get into it. So it's going to be a really good game. It's going to be a really good game for me. Now, a lot of people are talking about how logistically it's going to work with Leeds against Liverpool. We're going to get battered, this, that, and the other. I did a preview with a Liverpool fan earlier on. I've done 2 Liverpool fans, the Anfield Wrap and Redmen TV. Go check those guys out if you haven't already, guys. But it's really interesting how they're speaking about Leeds, what they're expecting of Leeds United as well. I think the big thing is Bielsa signed the contracts, I think, behind closed doors. He's come out today. He said he's staying at Leeds. It's all finalised behind the scenes. As we said on this channel about 3 weeks ago, I didn't think Leeds were going to be moving in the transfer window like we were, with the targets we were, if Marcelo Bielsa, or as the Liverpool fans like to call him, Marco Bielsa, wasn't signed, sealed and delivered. So I think, yeah, that's good that Bielsa's signed and sealed. But as well, guys, he's also said that Rodrigo and Robin will feature at the weekend. In what what aspects, I don't know, but that's great to hear. It's great to hear that they're going to be part of the squad. Are they going to be part of the starting lineup? Is Robin going to go straight into the centre-back partnership with Liam Cooper? Is Rodrigo going to lead the line? Who knows? But Bielsa has said they are firmly going to be part of the team's plans at the weekend, which is really exciting, because you just never know with Bielsa what's going to happen in terms of if Bielsa's going to include them for the first 6 weeks. But so they're the main things. But obviously, with both managers, they both play a counter press. They always have done. You've always had Liverpool. Liverpool have always played the counter press with regards to attacking spaces, recovering the ball extremely quickly, that high press. And Leeds have replicated that. We've always replicated that high press. It's a little bit different though for me. But Klopp and Bielsa have been the sort of innovators or the renovators, really, when it comes to getting a style and adapting it. That's what they've done. We've seen that with Bielsa this year. We've seen that with Klopp massively. When he first came to Liverpool, I remember that Norwich game when it was hellfire and fury, and it was just all about the counter press, getting players forward as quickly as possible, and it hindered Liverpool. They let a lot of goals in. Don't get me wrong, their quality is massively increased, obviously, when you look at players like Van Dijk, Robertson and Trent. But at the same time, it's all been adapted by Klopp's philosophy. Klopp's ethos has changed in terms of he's had to adapt. He's always had to adapt. And teams, managers, whoever it may be, they have to do that when they come to the Premier League because it's such a ferocious division. But yeah, what Bielsa likes to do is it's always going to be two. I always notice it's always sort of when Leeds are pushing forward, Harrison and Bamford will press on the centre-back, or Costa and Bamford will press on the centre-back, and it cuts off the line to the other centre-back or the full-back, and then Leeds recover the ball really well by obviously pushing further forward with regards to the high press. And there's obviously man marking involved as well there. When Leeds are pushing two men forward, trying to take that centre-back out of play, they man mark everybody in that midfield place, which completely strangles any sort of offensive outlet that they're going to be playing from defence to midfield to attack quickly. And we did that so well last year. But Leeds always go on the sort of marking from the midfield. But, we always close down from the front extremely well with two men, not just one. So Leeds like to do that extremely well. We know that with both teams, it's all about limiting passes. The high press naturally gets rid of that. It's all about limiting passes from the defensive play to the midfield play. It's restricting, it's strangling the opponents. And we see that consistently with Leeds. And we see that consistently with Liverpool. The difference with Leeds is there's always one more in defence. We've always seen that with the likes of Calvin, previously with Forshaw just dropping back. And we've always seen it where there's always naturally going to be an extra player in defence for Leeds United. The pivot with Calvin Phillips, or like I've said, there's just an additional player coming back playing in that sweeper role. And that leaves Patrick Bamford to do a lot of the work because there's always going to be one less attack. If there's one more in defence, there's one less in attack. And that's going to be really interesting to see this weekend because Klopp plays a little bit of a different way. Now, Klopp, what he naturally does with Liverpool is it's the space counter, and he's adapted being in the Premier League because it used to just be absolutely hellfire and fury, as I keep saying. That phrase I keep saying. It was a swarm. It was when an individual has got the ball, Liverpool will high press and they will swarm. There'll be 5 or 6 players swarming on one player. But now he's had to adapt a little bit, and now it's all about strangling teams. It's Ox been in that position, it's Henderson been in that position where the centre-back will not pass to the midfielder because Ox is ready to go. So it's all about strangling and cutting off those patterns of play now. They will still play that high press, but it's all about strangling those patterns of play. And with Liverpool's in-depth research, with their in-depth analysis, like we've seen at Leeds all the time, those patterns of play, those tactical patterns that teams that go to Anfield set up, Liverpool strangle them. They strangle them with that high press and by cutting off those supply chains. They do that very, very effectively. It's sort of setting traps is how I've always seen it with Liverpool. They because they're so quick and they're so indoctrinated into this Klopp system. They almost do that all the time. It's a trap setting game, and that's going to be really interesting this weekend with Leeds obviously playing out from the back. Is it going to be a case of Leeds being able to actually effectively do this, or are we going to be trapped? Are we going to be caught? That for me is going to be the interesting part. Or are we going to completely expose Liverpool? Don't sleep on Leeds. Don't sleep on Leeds. That is what I will say. Sleeping on Leeds is dangerous, and I've seen it already. We've had a lot of compliments so far, but there is people who are cutting us off. There's people who are saying Leeds aren't going to do anything. Leeds are blah blah blah. They're too overconfident. Doubt us at your will, really. It's going to be, I think teams are going to be surprised by Leeds. And I think the Premier League is very, very suited to Leeds United. The Championship wasn't. It wasn't suited to us. We're trying to play a style of football that the Championship really hasn't seen. You can even compare it to the Wolves, the Norwiches. No one's seen the level of intensity and press that has been in this Bielsa team. No one's seen it. So doing that in the Championship, on Sunday, Tuesday, Saturday, Wednesday, it's extremely difficult. But with the Premier League now, there's more time for recovery. There's more time to think for me. And I think that it's going to be, there's a lot less physicality as well. I know there is physicality in the Premier League, but I don't think it's on the same level as the Championship in terms of just brute force and bundling the ball over the line. and sort of this is a disrespect to the Championship because I love the Championship, but sort of Sunday League in terms of how to win games with your Warnocks, with your Pulises, no disrespect, but that's why those managers haven't been able to evolve at the Premier League level and sustain at the Premier League level. You know, Pulis did it for a period, but then he was found out. Warnock's never been able to do it. So that's why managers get found out there, because it's all more about the technicalities, it's about the precision in play. It's not about the Route 1 football. I'll get onto the Route 1 football in a little bit because it's really interesting what Jurgen Klopp does in terms of that. Stay with me. But as I say, the turnovers for both sides have been absolutely exquisite. Last season, Leeds finished second in the turnovers to Barnsley's Gerhard Struber, who turned over the ball 205 times, Leeds on 198. And Liverpool were extremely, extremely effective at turning the ball over, finishing a comparable and a parallel second with Leeds United to Manchester City, who finished top. And it's interesting with Bielsa. There's a lot of people who draw comparatives with Bielsa and Pep, but for me, Bielsa still is more dynamic in how he plays. He wants to get the ball up quickly. He wants fast-flowing football. He wants Leeds to get forward extremely quickly. Whereas for me, Pep is a little bit more cautious. He's a little bit more cautious in how he does things. He's more about the build-up play. Now, Leeds are about the build-up play. Of course we are. But if you notice with Leeds United, we'll always be trying to hit the wings extremely quickly. And that's something that Pep doesn't do. Whereas Jurgen Klopp does try and do that. He tries to build it up very, very quickly. But as I've said before, it's all about destroying the opposition's patterns. But I've always saw Bielsa as a little bit of a middleman. He's a little bit of a middleman between Pep, between Klopp. And I think that's sort of the perfect synergy for Leeds in the Premier League. But as I've said, it is, you know, we always see the exploitation of the wings for Leeds United, and that's always reflected in, you know, how many wingers we've been after in the past couple of years and how Bielsa wanted Helder Costa for so long. Obviously, the saga with Dan James, Jack Harrison being one of the first signings. He loves the width. He loves playing wide, and that's what Leeds do. That's how we stretch teams, and that's when Leeds cut the ball inside and then we pick teams off. That's because we've stretched them out wide so much that they're exposed in the middle. And that's where the tactician comes into play with Marcelo Bielsa. It's all about hurting teams down wide with quality pace and quality precision into the box. But then if we don't have that option, what can we do? We can cut it inside to Pablo Hernandez, Matthias Klick, or whoever. And that's where we can hurt you as much as we can out wide. But the exploitation of the fullbacks is always out wide with Leeds. So that's why it's going to be so interesting to see this weekend with arguably the best two fullbacks in the world with Trent Alexander-Arnold and Robertson. It's just going to be really, really interesting to see whether or not Leeds still expose those wide options, because as we know with Marcelo Bielsa, he never adapts. He never adapts. His philosophy is his philosophy. And it's very different to Norwich. A lot of people are going to be drawing comparatives with Norwich going to Anfield on the first day of last season. We're a different beast. We're more dynamic. We're more pragmatic. For me, we work harder. We've got the higher press and we've got more quality in the squad. So there's no comparative you can draw. Now, I'm not saying we're not going to get drubbed 4-1 because I know how good Liverpool are. But at the same time, drawing comparatives with Leeds United and Norwich is completely falsified for me. So, yeah, I think that's going to be where it's going to be extremely interesting in terms of the battle between Leeds out wide and Liverpool's fullbacks, because, you know, they push forward so much and the recovery is always so good with Liverpool because you've got Henderson in that DM role who potentially might be out, which is massive for Leeds. But obviously, you've got Virgil van Dijk who can cover so well. He's so quick and so strong that if Trent and Robertson are exposed, you've got those covering centre-backs in terms of Gomez, who's absolutely rapid, and Van Dijk, who's absolutely rapid as well. So they trust every single player at Liverpool, and they've got the system very similarly to Leeds United. So it's going to be an absolutely... it's going to be an intriguing development for me. But as I've said, with Klopp, you have seen a little bit more of an adaptation to the Premier League from the first year. Bielsa, you saw it as well for me last year. You know, he wouldn't be going as gung-ho when it would come to critical points in critical games. You know, he'd be bringing certain players on. We wouldn't always, you know, there was a game against Fulham where they were absolutely sort of mauling us for that first half and Leeds were sort of happy to sit in and then get them on the counter. So it's going to be really interesting to see whether or not we set up in that sort of similar vein. Obviously, we didn't set up in that vein to defend in that low block, but we were forced into doing so. So will we do a similar thing with Liverpool? Are they going to force us into going into this low block where Leeds are going to have to sit back, then hit them on the counter? Because Leeds are frightening on the counter-attack. We've got pace on the counter-attack. And now with Rodrigo in the side, that's going to add a whole different fragment to Leeds on the counter-attack. Any single there's been so many events with. There's been so many events with players like Rodrigo when he's been going forward, and for Valencia, for Benfica, for whoever it may be, he's extremely good on the counter-attack. And that's where it's going to be absolutely fascinating with Leeds. It's going to be a tactical, it's going to be a really tactically interesting game. But for me, Leeds are more dynamic in terms of getting the ball forward quickly, but Liverpool are more conservative and excellent at doing that. But both teams boasted an incredible defensive record last year, albeit at two dissimilar levels, obviously, with us in the Championship, but 22, 23 clean sheets, that's no mean feat. I can't remember the last club who did that, who matched that. A lot of that's been attributed to Ben White, but now we've gone out and signed a German international who has been absolutely lauded and looks like an absolute monster and a brilliant player. So I'm absolutely happy with that. Sort of replacement. I know we're all going to be going into this. We've not seen Robin play before, but going into this, I'm really confident that he's going to step up to the mark. And, there couldn't have been a more baptism of fire than going into a game against Liverpool. I mean, that's, for me, still the best team in Europe. Obviously, I know what's happened in the Champions League wise, but for me, they're still, they are the best. And, it's going to be absolutely fascinating to see. It's going to be fascinating to see. And, I think we'll surprise a lot of people. I think it's going to be a quick start from Leeds. I think, as always, it's going to be a quick start. Naturally, it will, because that's what we always do. Now, what we saw against Arsenal is a fast start and a sort of slow finish. It's going to be difficult for us to maintain that pace throughout an entire game. But I'm really interested to see whether or not this Anfield crowd thing is going to be a big thing. Obviously, when I was talking to Ben Kelly from Red Men TV and Mo from the Anfield Wrap, they were saying that the Anfield thing could be a thing. The Anfield crowd, we'll see it with Leeds this year, when the crowd might be a massive factor. Man United at home, Chelsea at home, etc., etc. But I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see whether or not this crowd. We saw the hangover from Liverpool after they won the title. They won it by 18 points, so they were entitled to a few bevies. But Leeds, on the contrast, were absolutely excellent after they won the league, after they were on the drink, after doing all this sort of stuff. We broke our running stats. So Leeds were on a different level because Bielsa won't allow it. And I'm not for one saying Klopp won't allow it. Of course I'm not, because I think Klopp is an excellent manager and his standards are through the roof. So it's just going to be interesting to see how we go against each other. It's going to be really interesting to see how both teams are going to fare against each other. But I think we're going to surprise a few people in terms of how we play. And it's going to be interesting to see how we keep up with Liverpool, because this is going to be a completely different task, a completely different metric. And if we can get a draw out of this, I mean, I can't think even last season. Did they draw at home? Did they draw at home once to Burnley? I think it was. I think it was once at home to Burnley, and I think they've obviously lost to Atletico Madrid 3-2. But aside from that, they just don't seem to lose. But that has got to be broken at some point. Rules are there for breaking. And that sounds daft, but I was watching the Leeds part 2. I was watching the Leeds part 2 of the Sky Sports documentary. It was talking about when we were in League One, and we played Man United, who were champions, and they were on absolute fire. With all these world class players. Leeds went there, beat them 1-0, and we should have won 2 or 3-0. Now, I'm not comparing the Premier League fixture to an FA Cup fixture, but any team on their day can beat another team for me, and especially a team with the quality of Leeds United. Obviously, we saw with Liverpool the other day, they absolutely smacked Blackpool 7-2. I watched the second half and they looked a little bit back to the normal selves. Going to be interesting with regards to Mo Salah, because it doesn't seem that Mo Salah's hit those dizzy heights in pre-season to what he has done in years gone by. So that's going to be absolutely fascinating. But I'm just really excited. I'm excited to see what Leeds are going to bring. It's going to be, listen, if it's a free hit for me. I hate saying free hit because I think we're not a tin pot club and we don't go anywhere to get a free hit. It's not a 38 free hit season for me. Leeds go somewhere and we expect to win. But you've also got to measure this against the opponent, and the opponent is world class. The opponent is a joke. They've got so many good players. So, we've not even touched on Sadio Mane. We've not even touched on him. So it's players of that ilk, Salah, Mane, Virgil van Dijk, Joe Gomez, Trent, Robertson. We're playing against a team now who, it's not your Fulhams with no disrespect. It's not your top of the league, even your Norwiches or even your Wolves of years gone by. This is Liverpool. This is going to be a different breed of talent. So I think we're going to hold our own. I kind of want to give a score prediction. I kind of do, but it's hard for me because I don't want to be completely sort of cataclysmic with what I'm going to say. But my head genuinely, my head thinks I think we'll lose 2 or 3-1, but my heart genuinely says 2-2. I just think this season's going to be a weird one for Leeds. I think we're going to shock so many teams. I do. And I think Liverpool have had this record for 3.5 years, 4 years. Why can't we go down there and do something? Klopp, I don't think he's ever faced Bielsa. Don't get me wrong. He'll have done his analysis. He'll know tactically exactly what Bielsa's going to come with. But Bielsa's a different breed. Like, coaching wise, it's going to be interesting to see whether or not Klopp's even come up against a coach like him. And that might sound mental because he's been in the second tier. But the way Bielsa plays, it's so different. Do we have the players to play that way? Yeah, we've been together for 2 or 3 years now. Everybody knows the patterns of play. And we were just exquisite last year. And people are talking about Wolves this, Sheffield United that, Norwich that. Leeds finished, 12 points clear of third last year. And we should have won it even more than that, the amount of chances we missed. So it's going to be absolutely intriguing. It's going to be absolutely intriguing. I'm going to be excited to see what's going to happen. Yeah, it's going to be really exciting to see, and I think we're going to go there. And I can see I've seen a lot of things. Ben Kelly was saying he reckons Leeds going to start very strongly, that comparative with the Arsenal game, and then burn out. And I can see that. Because it's not the Bielsa burnout, but I think Liverpool are just going to come on extremely strong in the second half if they start very weakly. Liverpool have these halftime team talks we've seen with Liverpool over the years, Barcelona, Roma, etc. These halftime team talks, they normally come out absolutely firing if they've had a poor first half, as the Leeds. But obviously, we've got to be honest about it, guys. I'm not gonna white tinted glasses. They are an unbelievable team. It's not being negative. You've got to be realistic as well, and we are going into this as massive underdogs. But for the first time in 16 years, I think if we go there and we've got a fully fit squad, which aside from Forshaw we can give it a really good go and give it a real good account of ourselves. Liverpool have got 2 massive fixtures, I believe, week 2 and week 3, or week 2 and week 4, I can't remember. But in terms of actually, assessing who you want to play where, are they going to risk Jordan Henderson? Jordan Henderson, for me, out of that Liverpool team, it's a different Liverpool team. It's a completely different Liverpool team. It's very, very similar to when we take Calvin out of our team. It's that pivot. It's in front of the back four, gets things ticking, leadership, commitment to the cause, raising other players' games. If he's out, that's massive for Leeds. And are Liverpool going to want to risk him when they've got game 2, game 3 coming up, where they've got ridiculously tough fixtures, I believe it is. But it's going to be really interesting to see, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this live stream. There's 334 of you watching. As I say, guys, enter the competition. If you are just joining, watch the stream back. The competition for £100 is who's going to be Leeds United's first substitution. What player? I need you to put that in the comment section below. I then need you to screenshot that. I then need you to screenshot the fact that you subscribe to the channel. I then need you to go on shipbikesusa.com, go to the About section and tell me what bike is on screen. Send all those 3 things to infullswingwithconormcgilligan@hotmail.com, and you will be in a chance with winning 100 quid. 100 quid, just like that. And then we're going to be doing this continuously for the next 6 weeks as well. On top of that, guys, as I said at the start of the video, if you've got match day vlogs, film yourself this weekend. If you're bored, you can't go to the game, film yourself. Film your reactions. I want to see reactions. Send me your reactions and I'll compile them into a big video so we can get a Leeds community video, and I'll release it next week and we will see what happens with that. I want to test a few things out. We've got a couple of sponsors who I'm really looking forward to coming on board, hopefully really, really soon. So I'm working on that behind the scenes. Listen, I hope you have a really good evening as well. Let me know exactly what you think in the comment section below. If you have just joined, make sure you go back. And this is your first preview. This is what you knew me for, the previews and the reviews. So yeah, slap a like. I hope you're going to enjoy this. I hope you have enjoyed this. And I will see you for the pre-match build-up live with a Liverpool fan on Saturday. We will then follow that up with the watch along live and then a review live, and then you'll have all your watch along clips. You'll have the final word, which is a new series I'm bringing to you with a special guest on the Sunday live. So you've got all this great stuff coming, guys. So listen, have a wonderful day. Come on, Leeds. We can genuinely do this. We can defy, we can upset the odds. I'm going to go 2-2. I'm going with my heart. 2-2. Come on, Leeds.